It was supposed to be a lifeline for millions of Americans struggling with student debt. President Joe Biden had promised to cancel up to $20,000 in student loans per borrower as part of his economic recovery plan. He said it would help ease the burden of the pandemic, stimulate consumer spending, and reduce racial and economic inequality. But on June 30, 2023, the Supreme Court dashed those hopes. In a 6-3 decision, the court ruled that Biden's plan was unconstitutional and exceeded his authority under the HEROES Act, a law passed by Congress in 2020 to provide emergency relief during the COVID-19 crisis. The court said that only Congress had the power to cancel such a large amount of debt, and that Biden's plan violated the separation of powers and the rights of creditors. The ruling was a blow to millions of Americans who had been waiting for debt cancellation since Biden took office in January 2021. According to the Department of Education, there were more than 40 million federal student loan borrowers in the U.S., with a total debt of over $1.7 trillion. The average debt per borrower was about $39,000, and many owed much more. Some had been paying their loans for decades, while others had defaulted or faced wage garnishment. Many of these borrowers had been suffering from the economic fallout of the pandemic, which had caused widespread unemployment, reduced income, and increased expenses. Many had also been relying on the temporary pause on student loan payments and interest that had been extended by Biden until September 2021. But with the pause ending soon and no debt cancellation in sight, many faced an uncertain future. "I feel betrayed and angry," said Jasmine Jones, a 32-year-old nurse from Atlanta who had $65,000 in student debt. "I voted for Biden because he promised to cancel my debt and help me get ahead. Now I have to worry about how I'm going to pay my bills and save for my future. I don't know what I'm going to do," said Carlos Rodriguez, a 28-year-old teacher from Los Angeles who had $45,000 in student debt. "I can barely afford my rent and groceries, let alone my student loans. I was hoping for some relief, but now I feel hopeless." The Supreme Court's ruling also sparked outrage among advocates for student debt cancellation, who argued that it was a matter of economic justice and human rights. They said that student debt was a drag on the economy, preventing millions of Americans from buying homes, starting businesses, or saving for retirement. They also said that student debt disproportionately affected people of color, women, and low-income borrowers who faced higher interest rates, more predatory lending practices, and less access to higher education. "This is a travesty of justice," said Astra Taylor, co-founder of the Debt Collective, a grassroots organization that campaigns for debt cancellation. "The Supreme Court has sided with Wall Street over Main Street, with creditors over debtors, with the rich over the poor. They have ignored the suffering of millions of Americans who are drowning in debt and denied them their right to a dignified life. This is a setback for our democracy," said Senator Elizabeth Warren, one of the leading proponents of student debt cancellation in Congress. "The Supreme Court has blocked one of the most popular and effective policies that President Biden could have implemented to help millions of Americans recover from this crisis. They have undermined his authority and his mandate to act in the public interest." The Biden administration expressed disappointment with the ruling and vowed to continue working on other ways to provide student debt relief. In a statement, Biden said that he respected the court's decision but disagreed with its reasoning. He said that he still believed that student debt cancellation was necessary and beneficial for the country. "I remain committed to finding solutions to ease the burden of student debt for millions of Americans," Biden said. "My administration will explore every legal option available to provide relief to borrowers, including expanding income-driven repayment plans, simplifying loan forgiveness programs, and cracking down on predatory lenders. I will also work with Congress to pass legislation that would authorize me to cancel student debt as part of my economic recovery plan." However, it is unclear if any of these options will be successful or sufficient. Expanding income-driven repayment plans would lower monthly payments for some borrowers based on their income but would not reduce their principal balance or interest accrual. Simplifying loan forgiveness programs would make it easier for some borrowers to qualify for existing programs such as public service loan forgiveness or teacher loan forgiveness, but would not